By the end of Cyberpunk Edgerunners, I felt bad for Lucy. Not because she had a tragic childhood backstory or because her crew got swallowed up by Night City. It's certainly not because she tragically lost a potential love of her life. Nah, I felt bad because she has to live the rest of her life shrouded in Rebecca's shadow. I said it. But what can we do to get her out from under that shadow? How can we, the players of 2077, make a build so epic that it lives up to being one of the 2 survivors from the Edgerunners crew? To help determine our attributes, we're going to take a look at the show. Obviously, we saw her use some breach protocol, actually, but she was using her cyber deck quite a bit. She used her mono wire. She was pretty quick and agile, pretty sneaky, and I'll be honest, I didn't really play into the sneaky too much, but we do know that she is mad smart. So since she's mad smart, we obviously had to go 20 intelligence. Seems pretty fitting to me, considering she is a former tool for Arasaka who hacked into the old net and did some wild shenanigans for him. She is sick with the quickness and uses monowire primarily, so you know we gotta go 20 in the reflexes as well for all those blade attribute perks, or what am I saying? For all the blade perks that we could get. We know that she's in great shape as the mind can only be as sharp as the body. She's not like borged out or anything though, so we'll stick with a modest 12. For cool and tech, I would probably lean more into cool to kind of play into the sneakiness that I was saying. But for this build specifically, I felt like someone who was trained by Arasaka as a child would likely have an inclination for tech, so I gave this build to tech points to easily make more money. But if you want to use the monowire more than hacking, speccing into cool may be a bit more beneficial for the additional speed buffs and stuff like that. For the perks, I'll start with intelligence because that's obviously the most important. In intelligence, we have both breach protocol and quick hacking. For breach protocol, the highlighted perks I would grab would easily be the mass vulnerability demon and the corresponding upgrades with that being the resistances and quick hacks. This will make people on the network more susceptible to your quick hacks, and honestly, unlocking all the demons is going to be pretty ideal because they will be further buffed by other perks within this tree. And if you unlock efficiency, you'll get a RAM recovery increase for uploading 3 or more demons in a single breach protocol. Likewise, Hackathon will also shorten quick hack cooldowns when uploading 3 or more demons. And to make that easier, I would strongly recommend unlocking Head Start, which automatically uploads the first demon in breach protocol. This will make access points super easy, and with the extended network interface and advanced data mine, you can get a lot of money from access points. Components I really don't care as much about because half the time it gives you components anyway and you're like, give me the money. But it's like, here's some components and you're like, oh cool, thanks, I didn't want these. Trash. Last couple perks I would grab would be compression, which reduces the lengths of sequences required to upload demons. All that together in breach protocol alone can get you ready to mop up a squad near instantaneously. Lastly, cloud cache, total recall, and totaler recall will reduce RAM costs for quick hacks. All that, and we are less than halfway into intelligence. For quick hacking, just go crazy in here. As you can see, I unlocked and fully upgraded every perk besides wink wink, wink wink, wink wink, weak link. And the reason why that is because it's honestly just kind of pointless. There are so many RAM cost reductions in this build and RAM recovery buffs that it really doesn't matter. And how often are you really actually hacking a vending machine to distract somebody or have them turn your back? Just hit them with a short circuit on this build and they will drop to the ground quick. As far as the quick hack perks though, I would definitely unlock Hacker's Manual, School of Hard Hacks, Hacker Overlord, and finally Bartmus's Legacy. The early ones may not be as important as you can buy like lower level quick hacks, but this will allow you to craft quick hacks throughout your playthrough. And with the access point perks we have, finding components is a breeze, so you'll be able to craft whatever you want without really having to worry about it or have to go to a vendor or something for any parts. And the reason why legendary quick hacks are so important is because they actually have their own individual perks, further buffing your combat ability. I'm not going to go into each perk here because it would take forever, but in a nutshell, these perks make your quick hacks hurt more, last longer, increase increase spread distance and number, along with also replenishing RAM and reducing RAM costs. An absolute anime waifu's dream, if you ask me. Cut that line. It is trash. I'm gonna jump off a bridge. That's not very nice. I'm not gonna jump off a bridge. All these perks really depend on the cyber deck you use as well, so stick around for the Cyberware section when I go over the cyber deck used in this build. Next up, Lucy used monowire, so we were gonna stat heavy into blades. I focused primarily on hacking for the first half of this playthrough, so I didn't really feel the need to spend too many points here, but the main ones being... I did it again. Remember when I said to silence your phones when recording? Well, that's why. The main one's gonna be Sting Like a Bee, which increases attack speed, Judge, Jury, and Executioner, which increases which increases damage by 100% against enemies with max health. And to play along with that, Fiery Blast, which will increase damage by 3% for each 1% of health the enemy is missing. Also, Float Like a Butterfly is huge because it will buff damage by 50% after dodging for 5 seconds. So if you can get in the habit of throwing a dodge before swinging on a group, you'll do crazy damage. Then with Death Bolt, you'll restore health and increase movement speed for defeating an enemy. Lastly, I'll highlight Flight of the Sparrow, which reduces stamina cost for attacks with blades. For body, I mainly wanted some things in the athletics perk tree, so with that I went with regeneration for a little health regen in combat. I didn't fully upgrade epimorphosis, but that will help your health regen inside and outside of combat. I had to go with steel and chrome to increase melee damage by 20% for the mono wire we will be using. Had to grab the classic pack mule for extra carrying capacity, like a butterfly, so dodges don't drain stamina, and I can always rely on getting that perk from blades after dodging and know that I'm not gonna become exhausted because I decided to get a little damage boost. And finally, our Lucy isn't very tanky, so to help with that, I had to get Invincible for the 15% health increase. Crafting, I spec'd into just to craft some stuff to make more money, but I won't go into that too much because it's kind of irrelevant. I really didn't even craft very much. I basically have just hit every access point that I found in this playthrough, and as you can see, I got like $500,000, or eddies as they're called. So I was kind of dumb deciding to stat into crafting because you don't even use any weapons you can craft. There's not a weapon I can craft. You can't craft mono wire. The only thing you can craft are like mods, which you can just buy anyway, so what's the point? There's really no point, so I'd recommend going into cool. Big mistake on the build. Let me know how dumb I am for going into crafting instead of cool. See, I fell into the trap of every cyberpunk build needs crafting, and no, it doesn't. So yeah, anyway, I just went on a rant on that. But engineering, you could perhaps throw a couple points into Blade Runner to also get an increased damage to drones and mechs, because the only reason why I really statted into cool was for the ninjutsu perk called Assassin, which gives us a damage boost against enemies. So to kind of go along with damaging mechs, maybe you could pick up both of those in the engineering and ninjutsu respectively. I actually didn't do any cold blood on this build. I was so heavy into hacking that I didn't really find it all that necessary because I wasn't like slicing and dicing with the mono wire, so I was kind of chilling back just doing a bunch of hacking, and didn't really feel like it was totally necessary because I very quickly became OP and it was insane. But going on to the cyberware, I really feel like the cyberware can be quite flexible for this build. For the frontal cortex, since we have a high intelligence, we can get some good legendaries up here. So for the visual cortex support, we get a 30% increase in crit damage, which is kind of insane, especially for builds outside of this Lucy one. Next, I went with heal on kill, reason being that this build isn't very tanky, so you can kind of get smacked around sometimes, but getting that 10% health for each enemy defeated keeps us on our feet longer. Finally, we have X disc for an additional 5 RAM. Something I like to pair with this is the consumable called Ram Jolt, which will give you another 2 RAM for 30 minutes, so you can get up to like, I don't know, like 31 or something. I'd have to look. I'm not currently looking, so let me update you with the little graphic. Alright, word. Thanks, post voiceover Luke. Ocular doesn't have anything special besides a crit chance mod that I put in there just to go along with the crit damage increases we got. Circulatory system I'd say is pretty flexible, but the bioconductor is nice for cyberware cooldown reductions. The immune system is also flexible, but since we don't have many cool attribute points, we are pretty limited with what we can slot in here. The nervous system is also pretty flexible. I went with Korenzikov for the slow effect to get an opening for hacking mid-combat or something without risking getting blasted in the face with a shotgun. Otherwise, I chose some Neofiber for the mitigation chance and strength increase. Like I said, we aren't a tank, so we can get taken out if you get careless. The integumentary system is also flexible. I got some camo and armor in here, but I feel like those are a staple for any cyberpunk playthrough. I don't even have the third slot slotted, so it hasn't been an issue. So I guess if you want to put like an immunity in there, that would probably be pretty nice. But for our skeleton, since we use monowire, I got epic micro rotors to increase attack speed and the micro vibration generator for a base damage increase for melee weapons. Nothing on the hands for the build. You don't use any weapons beside monowire, so whatever, what you gonna do. But obviously arms, we are using monowire since Lucy sliced and diced in the show like crazy. I threw a thermal damage damage mod, a battery mod, and increased health mod, since as stated, we're not a tank. For the legs, nothing seemed too specific in the show, but I kind of like the idea of using the tiger paws or whatever, the ones that like you could run around silently. I don't find those to be effective though. It seems like a gimmick. I don't know if they've fixed them, but anytime I've used them, I've still just been heard and enemies turn around and like, huh, who's this dude? And yeah, it hasn't really worked. So with that being said, not having a double jump is kind of sad in Cyberpunk, so it's got to be reinforced tendons. Finally, we are at the cyber deck, and honestly, I don't know what kind of Lucy has in the show, but for the sake of being absolutely disgusting, we gotta go with the Tetratronic Rippler Mark IV. The reason why I like this one is because it makes quick hack upload speed kind of ridiculous, and nothing is more satisfying than deploying a contagion and watching it spread in seconds. This cyber deck also decreases RAM cost for ultimate quick hacks by 3, while also allowing them to spread. Overall quick hack cooldown is also reduced significantly, so it makes combat quick hack super easy to deploy in pretty quick succession. I realize also that the intelligence portion of this build could also be used for Kiwi, who was also quite the net runner and displayed that in the show as well, so consider this interchangeable. As far as quick hacks, for this playthrough I crafted legendary Contagion, Ping, Short Circuit, Sonic Shock, Suicide, and System Reset, but if I'm being honest, I basically only ever used Ping, Contagion, and Short Circuit. It's all you really need. It's kind of crazy. Otherwise, we are just getting additional passive perks from the quick hacks, including isolating enemies from their local network, reducing RAM cost for panicked enemies, or reducing RAM cost for defeated enemies. If you like quick hacking, I would really suggest looking into all the legendary variants. I didn't even know this was a thing until I started doing this build, so maybe you didn't know about it either. I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb. Let me know. So there you have it. I think it's safe to say though that this build deserves to be one of the final standing members of the Edge Runners crew. If you agree, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, correct me on everything you think I did wrong. I'd love to see everyone's take on the iconic character. Also, very excited to see how this all changes as we get closer to the release of the expansion and how the change in the melee loop may affect these kinds of builds. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, maybe got an idea or two on how you want to play 2077, and I'll see you next time. Mic drop.